Tourism and Antiquities, Khaled Al-Anani, issued a ministerial decision obligating all hotels and tourist establishments in Sharm el-Sheikh to obtain a certificate from one of the accredited international or local authorities, stating that they implement all environmentally friendly practices in accordance with the concept of sustainable tourism. It is stressed that the companies and establishments addressed by this decision are obligated to adjust their positions in accordance with its provisions within 6 months from the date of its enforcement. This decision comes within the framework of the preparations for hosting the 27th Conference of the Parties of the United Nations Convention on Climate Change, COP27, in Sharm el-Sheikh in 2022. This also comes in light of the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities' efforts to transform the Egyptian tourism sector into an environmentally friendly sector, which comes in line with the objectives of the Ministry's Sustainable Development Strategy and Egypt's Vision 2030 to maintain environmental balance and sustainability of tourism and archaeological activity, encouraging the transition towards a green economy and spreading environmentally friendly practices. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. Tawfik. Now, sir, talking about sustainable development, Egypt's Vision 2030, everybody understands in different sectors what should be achieved as sustainable development goals. But what should we understand by the term sustainable tourism? What does it mean, and what are the goals to achieve there?
Sustainable tourism has a lot of facets. One of them is that it should be green tourism, which means that it should not use too much power, it should not use too much water, it should not leave any footprint that is unwanted, which means that tourism should not in the Nile water or in the desert leave any waste. All of this is sustainable tourism. Also concerning the transportation, be it aviation or be it coaches we are trying to move towards cleaner energy that is being used. The museums themselves, for instance, are switching to green and sustainable energy sources. All of this is helping to have sustainable tourism. And on the other hand, we also try to see how we can prolong the life of the antiquities, prolong the life of artifacts. We have learned throughout the last decades that certain things are bad for antiquities. When we have a small tomb with wall decoration, this cannot be over-visited, which means that it can only be open for a certain time, then it has to be closed in order to keep a lid on humidity. Nowadays, these tombs have to be equipped with equipment to be able to measure humidity and temperature. So these are all very important steps towards a sustainable tourism, a tourism that also helps to preserve our heritage for next generations.
Dr. Tawfik, now the Ministry of Tourism and Antiquities is trying to enforce that all the Egyptian museums, hotels, all the sites in Sharm el-Sheikh, for instance, are to obtain certificates of being environmentally friendly. Now, Sharm el-Sheikh is really is under the spotlight because of it anticipating to host the COP27 for climate change later this year. Also, we've seen the World Youth Forum a couple of weeks ago. And the cultural tourism has really been high on the agenda over the past couple of years with the establishments of numerous museums all around different governorates at places that we're not used to having museums or only known for being a beach sort of touristic resort. The Mummy's Parade, the Rams Road, all of these things. How much of an impact do you feel that holding all these events and all these big events, not just touristically, but also politically and environmentally, such as the ones taking place in Sharm el-Sheikh, will have as an effect for Egypt's image and the tourism sector in specific throughout the whole world?
Concerning Sharm el-Sheikh, in the first place, we have just had again the youth forum there, and what is happening there now concerning the environment is a very important step, because it shows that this youth forum is not just show, is not just talk, but that we're striving with Sharm el-Sheikh to have a role model for the world. This is why I think that this is a very good move of the Minister of Antiquities and Tourism to really encourage all of the institutions and hotels and so on in Sharm el-Sheikh to have the certificates of environment friendliness. And again, when you want to host the international conference for environment, then you should have it in a clean environment. And Sharm el-Sheikh has the potential for this and has the infrastructure for this. But also all through the country, big efforts are made in order to get the environment cleaner, to get the environment more friendly even for the people living around, getting the people themselves to appreciate a clean environment, a healthy environment. All of this is happening considerably fast. So we're seeing a very positive change, and even concerning cars and coaches, many of them being transferred into natural gas, which has much less emissions. So all of these are very clear steps in the way of really having a cleaner environment in Egypt.
Now, sir, because we're running out of time, but one final quick question. Now, as you've mentioned, a lot has been happening within the tourism sector and antiquities, quite a fast pace, and still a lot is being planned for. What do you want to see being achieved in the very near future, and what challenges do you feel we need to overcome?
Concerning sites like Saqqara and Luxor, for instance, we still could do with a bit more site management in order for the visitors to be able to enjoy these sites quicker, because time is becoming more and more an issue. On the other hand, the Grand Egyptian Museum is a project that the whole country must participate in. The whole country must do its role. The whole country must benefit from this project nationally and, of course, internationally.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, a lot has been achieved for this quite integral sector, not just for the Egyptian economy, but for the Egyptian culture and identity as a whole, and a lot is still there to be achieved as well. Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. But before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Tarek Tawfik, the member of the High Committee for Museum Scenarios and former Director General of the Grand Egyptian Museum Project. Dr. Tawfik, it's been a pleasure having you on the show.
Pleasure was mine.
Thank you very much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.